As you know, we convened an ad hoc legislative committee in the spring to draft legislative priorities for the ONCC. We've been tracking the progress of the FAA reauthorization. Many of the priorities we identified were included in the bill that passed the House in July. I would like to introduce Charlie Chamness, Legislative Director for Congressman Mike Quigley, who will give us an update on FAA reauthorization and other legislative issues. Charlie, it's all yours.
Thanks so much. Can you all hear me?
Just stand by. Let me adjust an audio setting, Charlie.
Okay.
Can you try now?
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yes, perfect.
Great. Wonderful. Thank you all for the invitation today. I really appreciate it. I know we've done a lot of work with ONCC. Frankly, I think this group is one of the leaders in the country surrounding airplane noise. So thank you for all your advocacy and work on the issue. As was stated, my name is Charlie Chamness, Deputy Chief of Staff for Congressman Mike Quigley, who is the ranking member for the Transportation, Housing, and Urban Development Appropriations Subcommittee. Our subcommittee funds the Department of Transportation, as well as the Department of Housing and Urban Development. And obviously, Congressman Quigley is a representative of Illinois' 5th Congressional District. I will give an overview of FAA reauthorization, aviation noise provisions in the bill. But first, I just wanted to do a quick recap of some of the other things that have happened this Congress on aviation noise, especially that Congressman Quigley has been involved in, but really House Democrats generally. So first off, as I mentioned, Congressman Quigley is the ranking member, lead Democrat on the THUD is the slang term, but Transportation, Housing, and Urban Development Appropriations Subcommittee. And we put together the bill that funds DOT. We were able to secure this year, and we've secured in years past, although this year was a bit harder because we are in the minority. We were able to secure a provision that in the Transportation Appropriations Bill that basically requests that FAA fund all studies and programs directly related to airplane noise. So that was a provision we put in the THUD Appropriations Bill in support of aviation noise programs at DOT. Second, and also related to THUD, earlier this year, the FAA acting administrator, they actually recently got, finally, after I think it was 18 months, a confirmed new administrator. But at the time, back in April, the acting administrator of the FAA, Billy Nolan, came and testified before the THUD Appropriations Subcommittee. And this is online if you want to access it, but Congressman Quigley requested that FAA take a look at DNL. I think he's been frustrated, I think as many of you have, about the lack of change to the DNL noise metric and needing to take a look at revisions to it. Is the way it currently is structured make the most sense? And actually, the week after the hearing and the testimony and the questioning of the acting administrator, FAA put out a public comment period requesting feedback on the DNL noise metric, which we were excited about. And I think they heard the message loud and clear. I believe that ONCC has submitted a letter to the FAA for that public comment period, sharing their views on needing to reform DNL. Congressman Quigley is a vice chair of the Quiet Skies Caucus, and also with the Quiet Skies Caucus submitted a letter to the public comment period, so Congress has weighed in. So we were excited to see that development. I think we have made clear to the FAA that DNL is something that needs to be addressed and taken a look at. So we're looking forward to more progress on that front. Now I will transition to the FAA reauthorization bill. I wouldn't consider myself a FAA reauthorization bill historian, but I do think in conversations I've had with folks, conversations I've had with folks who have worked in the area for a long time, I do think this bill has taken some of the biggest steps that any bill has regarding aviation noise. So I will just walk through the main provisions of the bill regarding airplane noise. The bill, and this is the House bill. It was passed out of the House on a bipartisan vote back in July. The bill establishes aviation noise officer and regional aviation noise officers. These officers will act as liaisons with public and community groups on issues regarding aircraft noise. This position will make recommendations to the FAA to address concerns raised by the public. There's a provision requiring the FAA administrator to review and revise noise standards on existing and future noise policies in consultation with airports, airport users, individuals living in the vicinity of airports, before the FAA implements any changes to existing noise policies or future noise policies. The bill requires the FAA to create an airport community of interest task force. The task force will, and I'll just go through the checkpoints here. The task force will review research on aircraft noise impacts to identify potential action the FAA administrator could take, reviewing processes for engaging communities on air traffic pattern changes. It'll assess federal efforts to mitigate noise impacts, including costs and benefits. It will assess actions that state and local officials can take when considering changes to airport infrastructure, including noise abatement. It will identify potential improvements to federal, state, local airport development policy and planning processes to balance which communities experience airplane noise as a result of airport operations. An additional provision in the bill, and I think this is a good one, basically will require a third-party study of aviation noise metrics undertaken by the national academies that will mainly focus on DNL, the efficacy of the day-night average sound level noise metric compared to alternative models, the disadvantages of the current DNL noise metric compared to alternative models, any potential changes that should be made to the DNL noise metric, and data collected on other alternative noise metrics. I think that's a provision that, again, shows the commitment to wanting to focus on DNL and making changes there. Just a few more. There's a provision that requires the FAA to take certain actions to reduce airplane noise when implementing or revising flight procedures. This includes implementing flight procedures, that can mitigate aircraft noise, work with airport sponsors and aviation communities on modifying arrival and departure times. I think this is a bit of, frankly, I think you all are ahead of this in some ways with Fly Quiet, but I think this is a bit of a kind of national take on Fly Quiet. And just last two here, a provision requiring the FAA administrator to consider noise impacts as criteria in determining the airworthiness of drones. So obviously, drones are becoming more and more prevalent, and we want to address noise regarding them as well, and frankly, try to be ahead of the curve on it. And finally, and I think this is just a one generally that impacts all areas, but I think it is important to noise too. It is no secret that there is a big shortage of air traffic controllers, and the bill tries to address giving the FAA broadening and improving the pipeline for air traffic controllers so we can get way more in the workforce. Lack of air traffic controllers can limit how much of a runway or a field, a runway field, can be used, which then obviously impacts the flexibility of arrivals and departures in an airport. So having a fully staffed air traffic controller system is, I think, something that will have many benefits, but also positively impact airplane noise. So those are the provisions in the bill, and I'm happy to take a few questions on that. I'll just also real quick talk about where we're at and next steps. So the House bill passed out of the Senate, the House bill passed out of the House in July. The Senate bill has still been stuck in committee. They have not passed out of the Senate yet. Currently, the FAA reauthorization, the current FAA authorization, I should say, is due to expire at the end of this year. So Congress has about 2 months to pass a new one, or they'll have to extend the current authorization longer. I think there is a true push to try to get the new one in place. And the House bill, I have not studied the bill as much. Those two bills, once the Senate bill is passed out of committee or hopefully out of the Senate, the bills will have to be conferenced, brought together basically, and then any differences between the two will have to be reconciled, and then Congress will pass a final reauthorization bill. We will certainly push for any and all airplane noise provisions that are in the House bill but not in the Senate bill to be included in the final bill. I think that there is sentiment on that side of the Capitol too for addressing airplane noise. So those are the provisions in the House bill and the current state of play as far as next steps in the legislative process. I am happy that there is a new FAA administrator, Mike Whitaker, so that the administration can move forward and take action. Welcome any questions. And I should also say, I think I have colleagues from a few other congressional offices on. If they want to chime in with any additional info or thoughts, welcome that too.
We do a couple questions first, and then we'll move to the other constituents online. Are there any questions? All right. Brandon Manhall of Congressman Christian Lawrence DC office is also on the call. Brandon, do you have any additional insights?
Yeah, hi everyone. Can everyone hear me, by the way?
Yes.
Perfect. I just wanted to say a quick hello. I know I've worked with probably quite a few of the folks that are there in the meeting today, Ryan and Maura, and before her move to the tollway, Karen Robles as well. But I have not joined an ONCC meeting before, so I wanted to say hi. I'm also joined listening in by my district colleague, Andrew Payette, on the call as well. And I want to thank Charlie for giving that great update for everyone amidst a hectic approach season over here. And I think one thing that I'll add that, again, Charlie and Dana, thank you. I know I worked with you both and some folks on ONCC, is that we tabled that Fly Quiet program letter because of some positive progress with FAA. And as far as I know, things are still moving forward positively, and we're sort of waiting on next step there. I just want to remind everyone that we're still here and available and still have letter text. I know it is not particularly useful yet, but might be in the near future. And so happy to sort of circle back to that with folks, and of course with the other offices on, if that's something that's seen as helpful in the next coming, weeks, months. So I just want to say thank you, remind everyone about that. Yeah, and if there's anything that Andrew or I can do to assist, please, you know how to find us. So please to reach out. And thanks everyone for listening.
Thank you. Also on the call from DC, Captain Brady, Congresswoman Rivera's office, Andrew Payette, who leads constituent services for Congressman Christian Lawrence's local office, Dana Fritz, Director of Grants and Local Projects for Congressman Ruby's office. Anything else any of you would like to add?
I'd just like to echo Brandon and say thanks to Charlie for giving that great overview. I am one of Rep. Ramirez's newest legislative assistants to join the office. So I'm also coming up to speed, and Charlie and Brandon have both been great colleagues in that respect. Magda, I think I heard you introduce her. She's also in the office, and I know she's been in contact with, or at the meeting, I know she's been in contact with some of the folks in the room as well. So we are here to assist you in any way possible. So thanks for having us.
Do you have any other questions?
Yeah, hi, I'm in Summers Village of Bensville, Chair of the Black Lives Matter. I do just want to add a little bit of color. Things are not going swimmingly with the FAA's review of the Black Lives Plan. I just want to make sure that's clear. It's been almost a year since that plan was submitted, and the FAA still has not told us if a EIS or EA process will be needed. So it's been quiet from them. We've been sitting on our hands here, not using our legislative lever, but I think it's important that the staffers for our Congress people are aware that the FAA is not communicating with us. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I just want to know, it's a little hard to, maybe, I don't know if other folks virtually. It's a little hard to hear the questions incoming, but I think it was about FAA inaction on Fly Quiet. If that's the case, again,
Yeah,
happy to-
Brandon.
Go ahead. I can hear you very
Yeah,
clearly.
that was Evan Summers from Bensonville.
Hi, Evan Summers from Bensville here. Yeah, you mentioned that Fly Quiet was moving forward. From our vantage point, that is not the case. The plan was submitted almost a year ago to the FAA. It was submitted in December, and we still don't know if an EA process or an EIS process will be required. We've reached out numerous times to the FAA, and they're just not letting us know the next step. So a little concerning that that's still going on. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Evan. I'm happy to chat with you and Maura and the others on this if we think the right time to re-engage is in nearer term than we thought previously. Yeah, definitely happy to loop you into that process. Well, if you haven't already seen text, or we can jump on a separate call and run through text on what would be most helpful. And I was working with Charlie and Dana on that previously as well. So perhaps time for us to circle back in the next couple of days or early next week on that. I'll go ahead and put together a thread, and Kat, I can loop you into that as well. And so we're on the same page. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? I want to thank Dina and Brandon who spearheaded this effort and been very engaged with us, helpful in keeping us informed, and been interested in our issues as well. Thank you all staff members who joined us today. We appreciate your interest and participation. We also have several elected officials here. Kathleen Engel from Congresswoman Chikowski's office, Magda Aaron from Congresswoman Ramirez, as well as those beyond. So thank you all for your time and commitment.
Thank you, everyone. We appreciate the updates.
Thank you. Really appreciate the time.